Nayib Bukele, the youthful president of El Salvador, has been called the world's coolest dictator. It's a title that highlights the contradictions of his rule. Bukele is wildly popular in his country, enjoying approval ratings that most world leaders would envy. He dresses casually, stages massive rallies that resemble rock concerts, and communicates directly with his people through social media. Yet, beneath the veneer of cool, Bukele has consolidated power, undermined democratic institutions, and overseen a brutal crackdown on gangs that has raised serious human rights concerns. Bukele's journey to prominence began in 2019 when he was elected president on a wave of popular discontent with the traditional political parties. He campaigned on an anti-corruption platform, promising to break the grip of the two parties that had dominated El Salvador for decades. The public, weary of endemic corruption and soaring homicide rates, embraced Bukele's message of change. In 2022, following a particularly gruesome weekend of gang violence, Bukele declared a state of emergency. This gave the government sweeping powers to arrest suspected gang members, often without warrants and based on scant evidence. Tens of thousands of people were rounded up, overwhelming the country's prisons. Human rights groups decried the mass arrests, warning of arbitrary detentions and violations of due process. But for many Salvadorans weary of living in fear, the crackdown was a welcome respite. The most visible impact of Bukele's policies has been a dramatic drop in the homicide rate. El Salvador, once one of the most dangerous countries in the world, has seen a remarkable decline in violence. Homicides, which once topped 2,000 a year, have plummeted. Bukele has touted these statistics as evidence of his success, and many Salvadorans agree. For them, the reduction in violence is tangible proof that Bukele's methods, however unorthodox, are working. Bukele's critics, however, argue that the decline in violence has come at a steep cost. They point to credible reports of human rights abuses within the prison system, including torture, overcrowding, and inadequate medical care. Detainees are often held for months without trial, denied access to lawyers, and subjected to harsh treatment. The government's own figures show that a tiny fraction of those arrested have been convicted of any crime, suggesting that many are being held on flimsy pretexts. The United States, under the Trump administration, has been a close ally of Bukele, deporting hundreds of Salvadorans accused of gang affiliation back to El Salvador, where they are often imprisoned in Bukele's mega-prison. Human rights groups have condemned these deportations, arguing that they amount to sending people back to a country where they face a high risk of torture and abuse. The Biden administration has continued some of these policies, arguing that they are necessary to combat transnational gangs. Nayib Bukele presents a conundrum for the international community. He is a democratically elected leader who enjoys genuine popularity. He has brought a measure of peace to a country long plagued by violence. Yet he has achieved these gains through methods that are fundamentally at odds with democratic principles. He has eroded the rule of law, undermined checks and balances, and presided over widespread human rights abuses. The question facing El Salvador, and indeed the world, is whether security can be achieved at the expense of freedom. Can a society truly prosper when its citizens live in fear not just of criminals, but of their own government? Nayib Bukele's presidency poses these uncomfortable questions in stark relief. His legacy ultimately may depend on how these questions are answered.